morning, and welcome to Today in LA. My name is Bill Rice Jr. This is Forrest Lee. His nickname is Tree Lee. We've never talked about that, Tree. I want to learn how you got your nickname.
Tree. Okay, I was a freshman at Tree.
Well, not now though.
Okay.
I haven't finished my big introduction. Don't get me confused.
Pardon me.
So that's Tree Lee, Forrest Lee. Mike Amos is at the beach, which I don't blame him at all for a place for being. And then Michael Amos, his son, is at another beach, and I expect both of them to call in at some point. But until they do, Tree Lee, it's you and me now.
Okay.
Forrest Lee, you've got a truck that publicizes your Monday night show.
Yeah.
And it says Forrest Tree Lee. I've never called you Tree, but I guess some people do.
Yep. I graduated from Goshen in 1977, and that fall, instead of starting Troy University, I kept working at the the Goshen Farmers Co-op during peanut season. Well, I entered Troy University in January of 1978 as a freshman, and I was going to move on campus. Well, Mother used to work for Arthur Coker, the housing director at Troy University. Mm-hmm. He knew I was coming to Troy, so I was placed in Clements Hall, the first co-ed dorm at that time at Troy University, January 78. There's a list from here to downtown Troy of trying to get into Clements Hall with juniors and seniors who had priority over me. Well, I was a freshman.
What are you saying? These senior boys wanted to be in dorms with girls?
Well, they had seniority, and it was the top two floors were girls and the bottom two were guys, and it was mostly juniors and seniors. So I was placed in there as a freshman, luckily, and right down the street to the dining hall, and the Sigma Chi fraternity brothers, a lot of them were in there because our fraternity house was just about 300 yards down the road on Farmer Street. And so a lot of the Sigma Chi's lived there because it was convenient, to get there. Yeah. So anyway, they started rushing me, and anyway, they encouraged me to run for SGA senator representing Clements Hall. I said, okay. So I went to class, came back, and there were posters plastered all over Clements Hall. Vote Forrest Tree Lee for SGA senator, Clements Hall. And I won. And so the name kind of stuck, and then I got the name.
But how did they come up?
Forest. What's in a forest?
Oh,
trees.
Okay, that's the answer. That was the short Cliff Notes answer is, all right, it comes from
forest, trees. There's trees in the forest.
I got it now.
And Arthur Coke used to say, I cannot see the forest because of the trees. That's another term. But that's how I got the name.
So you were a former senator. What was your big policies that you pushed as a senator?
I can't remember way back then. But anyway, when I was a senior, I ran for, I qualified the last day you could qualify for SGA president at Troy University. And Stacy Krebs was the only one running for president. So I qualified that Friday. The voting came out, I lost by 41 votes.
Oh, my.
So anyway.
Man, you were almost SJ president of Troy University. Guten Morgen.
Buenos dias.
I want to speak to a German friend of mine that's on your show every morning. He's got brown, dusty hair, and he's a big old guy.
Well, you're 4 minutes and 36 seconds late. I had to fill time while we waited for you to call.
I don't know what happened to me this morning. I couldn't get the phone through. I was dialing the wrong number. I was dialing 672 instead of 670.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Hey, guess what? But I learned something in those 4 minutes and 38 seconds. I learned why Forrest's nickname is Tree Lee, and also learned that Forrest came 41 votes from being the SGA president at Troy University his senior year.
I can see that. I'd vote for it. I sure would vote for it.
I didn't know how to politic.
How's it going, Farley?
All is well. All's doing well.
The golf is just gorgeous. The sun is just set, just going, coming up, and looks beautiful today. It's going to be a great day.
Yeah, the waters are turbulent around Gulf Shores and Fort Morgan. They've had a second drowning, I think yesterday or day before yesterday, so that's 2 in the past week.
You look at how many people they got down here, you wonder, why there's not more drowning. I mean, it's just full of people down here.
Right.
My family went down there on Memorial Day, and Carrie commented that the undertow was pretty bad in Gulf Shores, Orange Beach, and said the yellow flags were up. I guess that means just
no, the red flags are the bad ones.
Yeah.
But I guess yellow means you also kind of got to be on a little where.
Exactly.
Well, we went to a wedding last week there at Gulf Shore State Park, and the water was rough. There were yellow flags, but I don't like getting in rough
What
water.
we're telling you, ladies and gentlemen, is be careful, and especially with little children. Don't let them get too far off, and make sure they got life saver gear on, and don't take a chance.
I read recently that a police officer died saving the lives, or trying to save the lives of some people that were caught in the undertow.
Yeah, that was there.
And,
I know that was sad to see.
But that was terribly sad. But that brought back lessons taught by Coach Whitman, who was the predecessor of Forrest Lee of the Charles Henderson Middle School PE program. He taught swimming and swimming safety. And I remember from 7th or 8th grade PE, him saying that, if somebody is drowning, you got to be very, very careful. There's a way, matter of fact, he said, do not try to rescue them. You get a stick or something and reach it out to them. And he just stressed that those people will make you drown too, because they're so terrified at that moment.
Yeah.
And
that always stayed with me.
That's right. And it's always good to have a life preserver gear on you that you throw out to them.
That's right.
Again, that's something to be careful with. And of course, right now, everybody, excuse my language, I say brother, that means everybody and all their friends is getting ready to go to the beach this weekend, and looking forward to it. I know the football players, though, Rice and
Tree?
Forrest, they having to go to football practice. Can you remember any time in your coaching career, Forrest, that you started football in the second week of June?
I think it's overkill. I mean, I wish they didn't have to do that, but everybody's doing it. They do it 365. I think they're doing it too much, and but that's like middle school kids. I think are going 2 or 3 times a week.
I'd give them the month of June off. I'd give them some weightlifting stuff to do and things like that on their own, but I wouldn't start football practice until July 1st.
Well, here's what they're doing. If you don't do it, somebody, your next door neighbor, your somebody in your area is going to be doing it, and that's why they do it. And it's 7-on-7, and I mean they're doing it at all levels.
They had a 7-on-7 at Troy yesterday. It was that they're set up to bring in a bunch of 7-on-7s, and I reckon they're going to go ahead and do it. But everything is great. Those practice facilities are beautiful, and that Troy University football team now they're working out with weights and everything. They're definitely getting ready. But again,
when I was in Tallahassee the other day, I couldn't get over their intramural fields for the students.
Oh yeah. Mike Amos, is that you, man? Did you just join us?
Good morning.
Yeah, it's a beautiful day here on the Panhandle. Good morning, 30A. Good morning, Great Beach. I'm really excited to be here.
Michael, you drinking a glass of tea, Michael?
Yeah, this is sponsored by Milo's Tea out of Birmingham, Alabama. Founded in 1945. I've eaten at least probably 400 Milo's burgers in my life.
Well, today
Do
is.
you really like them? Do you really like them, Mike?
I guess
Oh,
so.
goodness, I love them.
He's eating 400 of them.
And
and the special
But all
sauce.
it is meat and onions, isn't it?
And then they have unbelievable crinkle fries with seasoning salt on them, and then you get an apple pie. I get the mega meal. It's a double cheeseburger, large fry, apple, lemon, or peach pie, and a large sweet tea with lemon for $9.99.
And this is National Iced Tea Day.
I think that's pretty steep. How many hamburgers do you get? Just one?
No, you get a double.
Oh, you get a double.
But that's $10.
I was in line down here the other day, and I was just like, this lady was saying, "Oh man, we sell a lot of this Milo's tea," and I was like, "Yeah, well, I lived in Birmingham for 17 years. That's where it started." And I said, "Their cheeseburgers and fries are unbelievable." And they're like, "What? Cheeseburgers and fries?" And the bag boy said, "I thought it was just tea." I was like, "No, it's a great burger chain up in Alabama."
Well, it's National
Well, I
Iced Tea
still
Day.
have Bird Drugs as the best hamburger in the world with lettuce and mayo.
Well, Forrest was trying to let everybody know that it's National Iced Tea Day. That's why we went down that road.
Yeah.
But you know, man, I pick up on things other people don't pick up on, and you're saying basically a value meal at Milo's, double cheeseburger, French fries, and a tea. Throw in a apple pie. Is $10. Man, I can remember when the value meals at McDonald's were $4.49. I mean, so this just doubled.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really, really good burger, though. I would tell anybody if they've ever been to Birmingham to go to one.
I know, but do you really think that it is better than Bird's hamburger?
I've never had Bird's hamburger. You always tell me about it. I've never had it.
Bird Drugs, Mike.
I've never had a Bird's hamburger. I never got a burger there. I always got chicken salad.
Are you serious?
I prefer
Wait
the
a minute.
BLT.
The boy that used all my credit for all those years had never had a Bird's hamburger
No, I never did.
with fresh lettuce and a beautiful tomato slice on it. It doesn't get any better than Bird's hamburger. I cannot believe you never had a Bird's hamburger. Where have you been?
Yeah.
What have you been getting? Just ice cream and milkshakes and all
Chicken
that?
salad, the chicken salad and the pimento cheese, probably.
I've been getting chicken salad, bacon and cheese sandwiches, bacon dipped in my milkshake.
But the best thing by far, though, ladies and gentlemen, don't let these guys fool you. The best thing of them all, though, is their delicious hamburgers with lettuce and tomato and onion. Beautiful hamburger.
Well, what do you like better? You
BLT.
like the hamburger or
BLT.
the sausage biscuit in the morning?
Oh yeah, now, I tell you what, that's a underrated thing. Is their sausage and biscuit? I think their sausage and biscuit is delicious. Have you had their sausage and biscuit? You like them, don't you, Ryan?
Well, about 100 times that you've taken me there. That's what I get.
That's right. I tell you what, they're delicious. How about Farley? What's he got on board today?
Well, I was going to mention the Alabama Farmers Federation is having a vote on the best chicken fingers in the state of Alabama. And I, right now, would vote for the Chicken Shack of Luverne chicken fingers or Crow's chicken fingers in Brundage, Alabama. Those are my two top favorites.
Sisters have got good chicken fingers.
The Crows in Brundage is just like the original Crows in Troy, pretty much, isn't it? They haven't changed it up much, have they?
Now, and the one on North 39 is,
It's a little. They've changed up the new ownership and the different
Yeah,
recipe
okay.
and.
They need a drive-through or something. But I saw on the headlines, St. Paul's got an offensive lineman named Lucas Taylor who had committed to LSU. Is flipping. He's going to Mississippi State. He's 6'5", 310 pounds. And Daphne has a lineman 6'5", 275, James Quinerly. He chose Memphis over Appalachian State, Louisiana Tech, North Alabama, Troy, and UAB. So Daphne has got a player, James Quinerly, going to Memphis, and St. Paul flipped from LSU, the Lucas Taylor, to Mississippi State.
You know, we talk a lot about the transfer portal, and I made a post yesterday at the Athletic magazine, which I like because I have a comment section, and you can have some good debates with some smart people. You can tell that the commenters are smart. And we got talking about a quote that Dabo Swinney made that said he is no fan of the transfer portal or this NIL, paying the players. And most people attack Dabo, saying, oh, he doesn't care about the freedom of these players, or the players are exploited, blah, blah, blah. I defended him. I said, no, I think he understands what made college football popular, and he doesn't want college football to become more like pro football. He's trying to protect the sport and athletes in the future. And to make that point, I use the example of Marcus Jones from Enterprise, Alabama, who started where? At Troy University as a freshman, was a great freshman and a great kick returner. Well, after his great freshman year, he transferred to Houston, which is fine and good. He can do, that's his life. I guess he can do it. But my point was, now, that's fine for Marcus, I guess, but what did it mean to Troy's football program? And I opined, Michael Amos, that if Marcus Jones had been playing for Troy the last 2 years, some of those 12 games that Troy lost, Troy would not have lost. He would have run back a kick or punt, or he would have intercepted the pass or deflected the pass as a cornerback. And those victories would make a huge difference in how this program is perceived right now.
And as it relates to that, I read an article this morning by Chris Humer of College 247, the colleges who have been hurt the most by transfer portal. Of course, Tennessee is number one, Temple, Buffalo, Kansas, Tulsa, Clemson, Marshall, and Nebraska. Georgia State lost the nation's leading sack leader, Jordan Stockton, to South Carolina. Georgia Southern lost their star.
We like that. Yeah.
Georgia Southern lost their safety, Kendrick Duncan, to Louisville, and all Sunbelt linebacker Renard Ellis undecided. Quarterback Shar Wirtz to Louisville.
That's right.
And cornerback David Spalding to South Carolina.
Well,
so,
the mid-major small programs, the big good programs that need talent infusions in a hurry are going to poach those players. So the long-term, it used to be Troy could find a diamond in the rough that everybody else missed, a DeMarcus Ware, an O.C. Umenyiora, and develop them, a Marcus Jones. And that would let Troy be competitive and then hang with these teams. But I guarantee you in the future that is going to be much less likely to happen, because these really good football players, and it after their freshman year, a lot of them are going to be gone to greener pastures.
All right, here's my take. All right, I'm a Sun Belt player, and I'm pretty good. Well, I know South Carolina's hurting, Tennessee's hurting. So if I enter the transfer portal, and those guys are looking, hey, if I can get this kid, he's already played 2 years.
And now you can get paid by going to some, you'll sign some endorsement deal at South Carolina that you wouldn't sign at Arkansas State.
All right, in basketball, Devontae Jones from Coastal Carolina, the Sun Belt Player of the Year in basketball. He's leaving Coastal Carolina and going to Michigan.
There you go.
And going where?
Michigan.
The rich are going to get richer. The poor are going to get poor. The haves are going to do great. The have-nots are going to struggle. And so all of these reforms to help the athlete are going to end up possibly killing some programs. I mean, there are programs that are struggling financially to stay alive right now, and this thing's going to help them survive.
I tell you, I said that they've opened up a can of worms that I don't believe they can close the lid on them. It's sad. It really is. You take Georgia Southern. They're one of our big rivals, and man, they're in bad trouble. Losing Wirtz, the quarterback. They said they brought in a guy from Georgia Tech that started for Georgia Tech making games, but Georgia Tech couldn't even hardly score a touchdown last year.
Yeah,
Well,
they
what
lost
happened-
four. They lost four studs.
The players that are transferring from the Georgia States and Georgia Southerns and Troys to the SEC teams are their best players on those teams. The players that are
Yeah.
transferring down to the Troys were second and third string on the depth chart. They transferred because they weren't playing.
Yeah.
This quarterback from Missouri that Troy got, which we hope works out fine, why did he transfer to Troy? Well, he wasn't going to play at Missouri.
Well, also this morning I read a little.
Well, he didn't even play at all last year. He sat out the whole year because of COVID.
So can he play? How many games can he play, Mike?
He's a junior, but I'm just saying he hasn't played football in 2 years.
Yeah.
Well, there was a quick report this morning that I watched that Alabama has lost like 4 or 5. One's going to Auburn, one's going to Texas, one's going to USC. So those players
An
are
Alabama
sliding.
player went from Alabama to Auburn?
No, Georgia. I'm sorry,
Okay.
Georgia.
Yeah.
He's a cornerback, and I apologize for that.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
they've lost 4 or 5. But then who do they pick
Yeah.
up? The guy from Tennessee.
Before long, you're gonna hear some
Receiver.
information out of the Georgia camp that they are loaded. You ever heard that?
Right.
They lost their great wide receiver though out of Hoover, George Pickens. He blew out his
Where'd
knee.
he go?
He
He
got
blew out
hurt.
he blew out his knee.
Yeah.
Got hurt.
And the,
I will say back to burgers real quick. I did forget Birmingham. One of my favorites all time is hamburger. Hamburger Heaven is also way up there. Hamburger Heaven and Milo's are 2 places you need to go to.
Mike, how about the hamburger that you get up at Sancton Con? Now that's a good
Oh, yeah.
hamburger.
Hamburger
Yeah,
King?
Hamburger King.
Hamburger
Yeah, that's a famous burger. Yeah, Hamburger King. It's good.
That's a tasty
Hamburger
burger.
King's real good.
You remember
Right,
the?
you ever had a hamburger from Hamburger King and
Oh yeah, I
Yeah,
agree.
yeah.
Hamburger
I've
King
had that.
hamburgers are great, and then Chris's hot dogs. You know what? Chris's hamburgers are pretty dang good too. They got a unique flavor. And
yeah,
cheeseburger-
y'all gonna. I had two hot dogs from yesterday from our place on the bypass.
Sonic
No,
Cookout.
Dairy Queen or Hardee's.
Cookout.
keep going.
It's a locally owned place.
Cookout.
No, but you're moving fast. Good. Who else?
Not Sonic.
I said it's got to be
Hardee's.
Dairy Queen or Hardee's.
It's the top 3 hamburger joint.
Oh,
Wendy's.
I don't.
Burger
No,
King.
Burger King.
No.
McDonald's.
This is like 20 questions.
No, listen, it's right next to Troy Bank and Trust Company.
Hardee's, Dad. I already said it.
Yeah, I said Hardy. I had two hot dogs all the way from Hardee's yesterday that was really good. I mean, really good. If you've never had their chili dog, it's really good.
Yeah, they are good.
And
Did you find out they're closed or not?
I guess that rumor of Hardy's demise was exaggerated.
well, I had heard something about that, but thank goodness I haven't heard it anymore. So I would sure hate to know that we had a Hardee's that closed, and Brundage had a Hardee's that closed. That would hurt Brundage.
What's the famous quote from Mark Twain? Somebody reported that he had died, and he said, "Reports of my demise have been greatly exaggerated."
If you go to Brundage's Hardee's, you're gonna have to maneuver around the potholes.
I hear that.
That place needs closing and revamping.
People on Facebook are constantly saying that, and they still don't fix it.
We know who owns that property.
Well,
All right, I will tell you this, and this is going to be, we're having fun with this, ladies and gentlemen. Tell me what great movie is on TV now. One of my all-time favorites. What is it?
hadn't watched it.
Well, there's about 500
Let's see how
channels.
well y'all know me. Let's see how well y'all know me.
What genre?
That's going to be real easy to pick out right now.
Is it a Western or is it a
Let's
love
see.
story?
What is it?
I play 20 questions for my kids all the time, and so I start off with
Which one do y'all think
Is it a
my
Western?
favorite?
Why don't you do this and tell us what channel it's on?
No, it's on my network.
Shawshank Redemption.
Shawshank.
No,
Shawshank.
I like it though.
Unforgiven, Clint Eastwood.
Oh, I like it a lot.
Is it a Western?
Yes.
It's a Western?
Is it a Disney?
Yeah.
Is it a Disney classic?
Rio Bravo.
No, I want our audience to play along with us.
Is it Frozen?
No, it's a Western.
No.
You said it's a Western, right?
I'm playing like I play with my kids.
It's a Western?
Yes.
The good, the bad, and the ugly.
No, but it's a good one.
Cowboys.
Is it Tangled?
John Wayne. Is John Wayne in it?
I'm not gonna tell you.
Okay, John Wayne's in it.
My favorite.
Rooster Cogburn.
No, but it was good.
Is it Aladdin?
True Grit.
No, but it was a good one with John Wayne. Come on now, you're throwing out the.
All right, I'll get off the Disney. It was Jaws. Jaws is playing all the time.
No,
somewhere.
it was a Western.
Oh,
I never
A Western would be
then it's nothing's too good for the man who shot Liberty Valance.
No, but y'all keep doing it. Someone's gonna get it. I'm gonna buy you lunch to a guy that gets it.
It could be Toy Story with Tom Hanks.
It could be the Searchers. It could be Red River. It could be Stagecoach.
No, you are way off, man. Yeah,
Well,
keep going.
Could be the Wild Wild West.
Well, those are the best westerns ever. Those I just named you the best.
You guys are missing out. You know, there's a lot more Wild Western movies.
It's the Outlaw
This is
Josie
the-
Wells.
Jeremiah
You
Johnson.
got it. You got it. The Outlaw Josie Wells. Who's that? The guy that?
I got it. Can I go to Bird Drugs and get me breakfast?
Yes, sir. You go there and tell them to charge it to me, and you got it.
Well, thank
You can
you.
get eggs and bacon and grits, whatever you want, but you go to Birds and charge it to me.
You know, another thing I like about that is, I've noted that the guy that wrote the book was George Wallace's old speechwriter.
Really?
Yeah, Asa Carter.
Well, I tell you, it was.
He wrote
you know,
the Segregation
that famous
Today,
quote.
Segregation Tomorrow, Segregation Forever infamous speech. So the guy that created Josie Wells also created George Wallace's.
That was a terrible speech.
I know the guy that wrote Outlaw Josie Wells wrote those lines. George Wallace didn't come up with them.
What were those
What's his name?
famous
Asa who?
lines that
I think his name's
Wells,
Asa
do you know
Carter
what it is?
or Ace Carter. I think he changed his name too.
But tell us what those special words were in that show.
Dying ain't much of a way to. Dying ain't living.
All right, here's the trivia on Asa Carter. All right. Years later, under the alias of supposedly Cherokee writer Forrest Carter,
Yeah.
he wrote the rebel outlaw Josie Wells. So it's under the name Forrest Carter.
Well,
Yeah.
see,
Oh, yeah.
he was
I
so
read that.
infamous that he had to completely remake himself, and he wrote. It'll tell you, he wrote some environmental tree.
Born
book.
in Anniston, Alabama.
My dad wrote a column about this in the Troy Citizen 20 years ago that was really made news because nobody had really picked up on who this guy really was. He's probably from Alabama because there is a character in there that sings the song "The Rose of Alabama."
Oh yeah, I loved it. Yeah, that's right.
Alabama.
So Alabama
Yeah,
gets in that movie.
The camera work
Sandra
in
Day.
that show was remarkable. The camera work, going to different, it was very good. I thought.
I want to say,
It was a great movie.
I love that. The Outlaw Josie Wells is a great movie, Mike. I like it as much as you do. One of probably my favorite westerns. I want to say my favorite western is Shane with Alan Ladd. That is just
Oh,
really
gosh.
good. That is really good.
All right, this could pick up the show. I was flipping through the channels and I saw a movie the other night. Guess that movie.
Oh gosh.
Pulp Fiction.
Robert
I'm
Redford.
kidding.
It's a Robert Redford movie.
If it's not Netflix, Disney Plus, or Amazon Prime kids movies, that's all I watch.
All right, I got a
I watched Tinkerbell last night, and then I watched Little Mermaid last night.
Well, let me ask, do your kids love the movie Frozen?
Yeah, Frozen and Frozen 2, yeah.
Classics, so good. Because I've got kids, I've watched them a million times. But man, the Frozen has to be one of the best Disney movies all time, if not the best.
You've been asleep, Forrest. What's the deal with you, buddy?
Well, I've got a history trivia question for the three of you. Who is the only person to sign the Declaration of Independence, the Treaty of Alliance with France, the Treaty of Paris, and the United States Constitution?
James Madison.
This is
Incorrect.
educational. I don't know if these guys can get this.
Ben Franklin.
You are correct. And Ben Franklin, today, on June the 10th, 1792, flew a kite during a thunderstorm. And I typed in today's history, today in history, and it come up Ben Franklin.
You know, that was 16 years after the Declaration of Independence. So here you got this famous diplomat and politician that was doing what? Scientific experiments. In my research on COVID, one thing I have learned is that now science is controlled by what? Colleges and research and grant money. It's almost like the military-industrial complex is all government-centric. Well, back in the day, for hundreds and thousands of years, science was done by amateurs that were just interested in the topic and did experiments on their own. Thomas Jefferson was a scientist. Ben Franklin was a scientist.
He invented the lightning rod.
There is a lesson there, folks.
Well,
let's do movies for 1,000, Alex.
I'm gonna do underappreciated movies, and
Jeremiah Johnson was a good movie. I liked it.
It's underappreciated. I think Jaws is although it's considered a great movie and everybody likes it, it should be considered one of the all-time best movies. Period. The Steven Spielberg movie, the D-Day movie, Saving Private Ryan. You know,
oh yeah, it was a pretty good movie.
Well, not more than pretty good. It was an unbelievable movie.
All right, let's go to a top 10.
Well, let me finish my point on Saving Private Ryan. You know what won the Best Picture that year? A movie called Shakespeare in Love. Now, are you going to tell me that Shakespeare in Love is better than Saving Private Ryan?
Oh, God, no way. No way it could be.
What was that old movie, the Sullivan Brothers, like 5 or 6 brothers that were killed in World War II? And
yeah, that was made for television.
Yeah, that was a pretty good, that was black and white.
I think that's based on the truth.
Yeah, it is. The O'Sullivan Brothers or the Sullivan, one of the two.
The only
Did Forrest mention Alabama's going to play Boston College?
I have not, but I read that as well.
Oh boy, how could they advertise that? That is the worst ball game, and they won't play Troy. Somebody ought to write them a letter and say, "Really, are you really afraid to play Troy? You would rather play Boston College." I got a feeling Troy could line up real well with Boston College.
Well, I've noticed.
How about Boston? Boston College is 3-1 all time against Alabama. They won against Alabama in '83 and '84, led by Doug Flutie.
Yeah, I remember them well. Well, here's what a trend that affects Troy. What are all the colleges like Alabama doing now? They are locking in these home-and-home series with intersectional teams. Boston College, Oklahoma State, people like that, Notre Dame, Ohio State. Well, the Alabamas are doing this, and the Auburns are doing this because they want to sell tickets. They're tired of having football games that are not sold out. So they're going to bring in these named teams. That's going to help them sell tickets. Well, here's what I think when I hear that. That's one less spot for a Troy to play in Alabama. I mean, these schools are now filling up their schedules with these other named top 50 group of 5 teams. So in the future, these payday games that the Troys really actually need, they're going to be fewer and farther between.
Troy can't even fill up their own home stadium.
You know what they can do to make everybody happy is say that you're going to play Troy in 2035, and then of course you will never get that way, and then before that date they would have nullified the
Contract.
So, but it would make Troy fans look good. 2035,
Well, on the flip side, of that is I think that Alabama and Auburn are going to end up playing Troy for the same reasons I just said. They need full stadiums. They need to sell tickets.
I don't think so.
And they will. Auburn or Alabama playing Troy would guarantee a sellout, whereas Akron and Louisiana Monroe is not going to do it.
And I know people are saying that Troy can't play with Alabama, and they can't probably, but they play a lot better game than a lot of these games that they've scheduled.
Well, here's why they're not doing it. They're afraid of the embarrassment that would come if they lost, which they know is a possibility. But what's going to trump that eventually is, if you play Troy, you're going to sell 8,000 tickets that you otherwise wouldn't have sold at $100 a ticket. Well, how much money did you just make? What's 8,000 times 100? You just made $800,000 that you're leaving on the table. And then also you don't have to pay Troy $1 million to come up to Tuscaloosa. Troy would come up for, $600,000 in the bus.
All right, listen. Let's go back.
Do you want before we do that? Do you want me to give you the future Alabama home and home series non-conference?
Yeah.
All right, 2022 Alabama will be at Texas. That'll be a great trip for anybody to go to Austin. 2023 Texas will come to Tuscaloosa. Very interesting here. Alabama will travel to University of South Florida.
That's recruiting. That's where they want to.
They're not even a Power 5 school, though. So
but they don't. Alabama wants to get that program and that brand in South Florida. That's why they're doing that.
They play in Tampa, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers Stadium, though. That is true. And then UCF in 2024 comes back to Tuscaloosa, and then Alabama at Wisconsin. That'll be an interesting game.
Yeah, and then another thing that's going to happen is watch and see. The SEC schedule, I think, is 8 games now. Well, that's going to go to 9 or maybe even 10 in the future. That's another effort to sell tickets and give people, and you got to do something to get people off the couch watching these 64-inch high-def screens. And you do that by scheduling better games, by scheduling Wisconsin or Florida that you're not playing right now.
I might have to buy Florida State tickets in 2025 because Alabama's at Florida State, and then they have Wisconsin at home.
Wow.
So Alabama Alabama plays 8 SEC games, and then you're saying they're also playing Wisconsin and Florida State?
Yeah, then the next year they play at West Virginia. Neil Brown, Navy will still be there. South Florida at home, and Florida State at home.
Well, see, what I'm getting to is they only play 12 games on the regular season. So you only have 2 slots left for other games where they could play Troy. And right now they typically play 1 neutral site game, but they have 3 cupcake games that they could play.
Yeah. So save it there until 2028, 2027, West Virginia at Alabama. Alabama travels to Ohio State, which will be one of the biggest games in a long time. And then Ohio State in 2028 is in Tuscaloosa, and then Alabama's at Oklahoma State.
Notre Dame comes after that.
Good.
Notre Dame is the next year, I think, for a 2-game series. Yeah. But y'all said
I definitely got to get tickets in 2025 to the Florida State-Alabama game.
But let me ask, where are the mid-major teams on these schedules? They're not going to be getting these.
It's only showing more named Power 5 schools. I don't know why South Florida's in there, but I guess they feel like they're a decent enough program.
But these are games that these programs weren't playing in the last 10 or 20 years.
Well,
in other words, it takes away a scheduling opportunity for the Troys and Georgia Southern to get on those spots. So that really, all I'm really saying is, if Troy and Georgia Southern, if you're depending on $1 million payouts from Alabama and Auburn and Ohio State, you're not going to be getting as many of those in the future.
I'm thinking it's gone now. I really do. I'm looking out over the Gulf of Mexico, and it is beautiful this morning. All the way to the pier at Pier Park, I can see those folks. Then all the way down to I reckon you could actually see Pinnacle Port from here. So beautiful, beautiful Gulf this morning. Hello.
Yeah, we're here.
I was going to look up Georgia Southern schedule.
Hey, this morning.
They play Gardner-Webb, Florida Atlantic, Arkansas, Louisiana.
They play who? Not Gardner. What, you didn't say Gardner-Webb, did you?
Georgia Southern plays Gardner-Webb, Florida Atlantic,
okay.
Arkansas. Then on down the schedule, they'll play BYU there, Georgia Southern.
So Georgia Southern depends on that Arkansas game and that BYU game to fund a lot of their football program with those big payouts they'll get from those games.
Yeah. And Georgia State, we mentioned that last week, they play Army at home, at North Carolina, Charlotte home, and at Auburn. So
they've got two money games. If you get one or two of these money games, you're okay. But if those money games disappear, you're in trouble.
And I think Army will fill up that stadium at Georgia State, first game of the year.
You know, I was thinking, looking at Troy's got Army down on their schedule. What interest is that going to be other than to a few midshipmen? Not midshipmen, but cadets.
Yeah, it'll be huge interest when they come to Troy, and Troy will love to go to Army, but from the Army perspective,
at one time. But then when it continues, you know, they got them listed about 4 or 5 times, I believe.
Well,
who are some of Troy's future games, Mike?
We talked about that. We'd have to go to TroyTrojans.com to find that.
Yeah.
Well, it's all fascinating to me that, you know, as someone who loves college football, is what's it going to look like in 10 years is really what I'm talking about. And I think everything we're talking about, you know, and what it's heading to, it's heading to a big boy football league. There's going to be about 50 or 60 big name, rich group of 5 teams playing football, and then you're going to have a lower tier with the Troys and the Memphises and the Tulanes. And that the Troys are not going to be playing the Alabamas and the Auburns of the world as much in the future. And I really think that I wonder how many of these lower programs will continue to even play football. I mean, you know, something that nobody even mentions is these programs at most of these smaller schools, they lose tons of money. They're subsidized by the university and the taxpayers. And the question is, are they going to continue to just pump millions of dollars into programs that are losing money?
Troy opens the season at Ole Miss next year.
All right, that'd be good. They'll play them tough. And
I don't know with Lane Kiffin in 3 years at Ole Miss, Troy might get blown out.
I don't know.
Then they're at Western Kentucky and they host Army. That's not a bad non-conference.
Yeah.
Well, Ole Miss will probably pay Troy $1 million to make a short little trip over there. So that is a lot of money. Troy will make more money from that one game than it will probably make from, you know, 8 other games.
Yeah.
In 2023, they play Stephen F. Austin at Kansas State, Western Kentucky at home, and at Army.
I wonder if they'd be in love with Western Kentucky and Army, and that wouldn't do anything for me if I looked at a schedule like that.
All right, 2024, Florida A&M at Memphis, at Iowa, and Southern Miss at home.
That sounds pretty good. You ought to play Iowa. Iowa is a big school, and
I wouldn't mind going to that game.
All right, 2025, Nichols will come to Troy will
boy.
go to Clemson, and Memphis will come to Troy,
That's
and
good.
Okay.
UMass
All
will
right.
come to Troy.
Yeah, okay.
You know that Memphis
Well,
Memphis
it-
dropped
it-
state from their name about the same time Troy dropped state from its name. And isn't it funny that by now, for a long time, people would keep calling them Memphis State, or they kept calling
Yeah.
Troy State. But by now, it's everybody just calls them Troy and Memphis.
All right, 2026, BYU at Troy, at Mississippi State, at Missouri.
Boy, that's a good one.
That's in
Wow.
2026.
That's the best ever, maybe.
I mean, would it really be bad though if Troy's non-conference every year now with UAB, Southern Miss, and Memphis? I wouldn't have a problem with that.
Yeah, well, I would like those.
If you play those three
yeah.
teams, every year, that wouldn't bother me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I
that's
like it.
right. But any more?
Well, that was.
Let me show explain the one little deal here. The teams that actually are making a profit. You would say Alabama. You'd say Ohio State probably, Penn State probably, Auburn probably. Who are some more people?
Well, there's been studies. You know, USA Today does this every year, and you're right. There are about 10 programs that actually make a profit.
Making money.
And then that's there's 130 Division I football programs, but if you count Division I basketball and Division II and 1AA, there are 1,000 programs that have colleges that have sports programs, and you got 10 of those 1,000 that actually make
You would
money.
say Texas would be making money. They make money, I'm sure.
Yeah, they make a ton of money. Yeah.
Probably Texas A&M. They make money.
Let's go to high
Not a whole
school.
lot of them out there.
Texas has got their own network. They make a ton of money.
In high school sports, I noticed on Facebook the other day that Charles Henderson is going to have a play date basketball. It's called a play-in game or whatever against another local high school. There'll be about 4 games here at Charles Henderson. They're going to charge admission to come watch those games this week or next week to raise money for the athletic program because they are in need of money.
Well, that's big for us.
Because they didn't have
You're saying they're
paid
they're
bands.
playing paid organized basketball in the summer?
Yes,
I have never heard
you
this
have
in
to
my
go.
life.
It's a
I think it's a good idea.
well, you got to pay to go watch that scrimmage game, and it's because they didn't get any revenue last year. And the thing that I really don't like, that is probably going to be the trend. I went to a baseball game at Goshen last year. I was going to watch Will Snyder, his last game. It was senior day. Well, I walked into the gate with a $10 bill. They would not take my money. I had to go online to gofan.com and buy a ticket online. Well, my cell phone wouldn't work where I was standing. I had to go to the parking lot and finally get a signal.
They wouldn't let you in the game unless you did this?
Then I had to do this, and I'd never done it but once before. So I went to them. I said, "Is this correct?" And so they had to finish the process. I said, "Well, what y'all need a computer right here at the gate that y'all can do it for a fan that gives you a $10 bill. Do the process." I said, "You can keep the change." But it's the trend that they're going to. Some schools do, and some schools
That
don't.
just
But my
drives me-
argument is this: if I'm a 70-year-old grandparent that wants to come up from Florida for the spur of the moment and go to a high school baseball, basketball, football game, or whatever, and I got to go to a computer on my phone to get in the game.
Well, what scares me about that is they won't take cash. There's no way the studies come out and the virus is not transmitted
They're
by
taking-
surfaces, so they won't take a $10 bill.
They're taking cash at the concession stand. But
It's complete madness. We're letting the inmates are running the asylum when you can't give somebody a $10
And that's
bill.
not
to
a
go
throw
to it.
on Goshen.
Well,
Trust me.
it's
All
everybody in
Pike
America
County
is like that, and I mean,
That's right.
somebody should have.
If this is happening to Goshen royalty like Forrest Lee, it can happen to anybody.
Well, it's. I mean,
Didn't somebody say,
Same
"Come
thing at
on,
Charleston.
man, let them"? I mean, they
Why
call.
don't you just tell Bart? Why don't you just tell Bart to get you in?
well, I don't think Bart was available at the time, but I mean, I couldn't. You know what I'm saying?
You want them to give them
like
money.
next fall,
and
is it gonna be the same
You
thing?
want them to give them money, and basically they're saying, "Oh my God, money! I gotta get away from the money."
Well, it's higher up than them that's
No,
doing
it goes all the way up to Fauci.
But some high schools do that, some don't. But that is the biggest trend. And I know during COVID last year when I went to a Brundage game to help Dan Smith do something, and I had to do the same thing then. But their food was only packaged
People laugh
food.
at
You
me.
could buy a hamburger, hot dog.
There's a reason Mike doesn't want me to get off on politics, but one of the scariest trends in this world is this movement to ban cash. And I think they want to do it. They want to get rid of paper money and silver money, and they're going to do it. They're going to say, "Oh, it's the drug smugglers are using it," and they're going to say, "Oh, it transmits viruses. It's dangerous. Let's just go with our digital money," is what they want. But man, when you can't have your own money, and all your money goes through a computer system that they control, they've got you, brother. And it's
Because they
y'all
know
can laugh
every
at me. Y'all
transaction.
can laugh at me now. I hope we save this and archive it. But
It's true.
10, 15 years from now, it might. And the way I see it is, people don't even care. They say, "Oh, people like Bill Rice are wearing tinfoil on their head." But we need to be watching this and pushing back against it. Thank you for giving me that. That's an editorial comment. That's not Troy Cable. That's not Mike Amos.
Well, I'm gonna flip gears. The New York Mets first baseman Pete Alonso is accusing Major League Baseball of altering the ball's physical properties in order to depress the salaries of free agents on Wednesday. That's what he said on Wednesday. So he thinks that Major League Baseball is altering the baseball. So all these free agents
He
won't
did,
get as much.
he did hit 50 home runs last year.
So anyway, that's another.
It is funny though about how the home run numbers fluctuate. Why is that? I mean, why would you have some years when
Now
you
batting
have
averages are plummeting.
50 or 60 is common, and then it becomes like 30 or 40 is really good.
Well,
They do deaden the ball.
yeah. All right, winner take all. Oklahoma defeated Florida State 6-2 yesterday. Today they play at 3:00, and Oklahoma's 55 wins and 4 losses this year. Florida State is 49-12-1. Yesterday, Oklahoma set a NCAA record. They hit their 159th home run of the season. It broke Hawaii's record that was set in 2010.
Yeah, that Hawaii team beat Alabama, I remember.
And Jocelyn Alou has hit 33 home runs to set a record.
Yeah.
They got another
30.
player that did 27.
Oklahoma's awesome in softball.
They're loaded. And they're playing in Oklahoma.
The Big 12 must be horrible in softball.
I was thinking the same thing. And did y'all? I wanted to mention the Pike County softball players of the year, or all area players. But Mackenzie Kane from Charles Henderson High School batted .417, had 15 home runs, and she is thin and can fly. 45 RBIs. Also on the all-area team, Allie Rushing of Pike Liberal Arts, Dana Dawson of Pike Liberal Arts, Stella Gilbreth of Charles Henderson, Amber Kidd of Pike County High School. She threw out 10 runners as a catcher. Amity White from Pike Liberal Arts, Morgan Bundy, Pike Liberal Arts, Grace Rushing of Pike Liberal Arts, Kaylin Wilkerson of Pike County High School, Casey Wilkes of Goshen High School, Madison Stewart of Charles Henderson High School. She batted .471, had 8 home runs, and her dad works here at Troy Cable.
All right.
Emily Bryan of Pike Liberal Arts, and the Coach of the Year, Kadasia Neely of Charles Henderson High School. And I think Charles Henderson has like one senior. And,
Yeah, the future
so
looks bright for
congratulations
Charles
to
Henderson
Mackenzie
softball.
Kane and all area players
Charles
here.
Henderson's coach is a buddy of my wife, and she teaches in the same building 200 building at Charles Emerson High School.
Isn't she an English teacher?
I think so.
And I believe she played at Troy University in baseball, so softball's rocking and rolling.
Well, it looks like,
Do the Super Regionals start tonight?
They do. I'm not
hey,
sure.
we need to probably take a commercial and then thank all our sponsors. And I hope y'all know them by now. They're great locally owned businesses. We appreciate them so much. But also, I need to go get me some more coffee. So let's do a commercial. If Steve's listening, 3, 2, 1. Commercial. No commercial. Well, Forrest, what else you want to talk about?
I didn't put my microphone back on. All right, here are the Super Regionals for tonight. I don't know if they start. I think they start Friday. I'm not real sure.
They start Friday. It looks like East Carolina, Vandy will host East Carolina, Arkansas will host NC State, Texas Tech will host Stanford, Ole Miss will travel to Arizona. That's the Friday night games.
Okay, and I got South Florida will be at Texas. Dallas Baptist University.
Never heard of it until
at
recently.
Virginia. Dallas Baptist University. LSU at Tennessee.
Mm.
And Notre Dame at Mississippi State. So the Southeastern Conference has Mississippi State, Tennessee, LSU, Ole Miss, Vanderbilt, and Arkansas. That's 2, 4, 6 teams from the Southeastern Conference.
But at least two of them are playing each other. So that's the most you could have go to the World Series would be 5.
And then
all right, let's try to take a commercial break.
All right,
we'll be back.
We'll be right back.
We're today in LA.
$29 down and payments as low as $99 a month. Yes. Now through Monday, $29 down and $99 a month. Yeah. $29 delivered. Only at Premier Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Shop at PremierTroy.com. Nobody beats a Premier deal. Nobody.
A personal touch, a high level of trust. Whether it's checking and savings accounts, personal or business loans, or our local friendly service. That's what Troy Bank and Trust customers expect. But now we offer more. Free identity theft protection for our new and existing customers, protecting your family's time, money, and good name from identity theft. Because protecting your identity is now a big part of our identity.
This is my chart from Southeast Health.
And you're going to want to make it yours.
Not because it's free,
but because it's priceless. Because with my chart, you can schedule appointments online with your provider.
You can email your provider and get answers.
Get test results.
refill prescriptions.
And manage your family's health care. You know how we all want health care to be easier?
But no one seems to listen?
Well, someone did. Southeast Health.
To get your free My Chart app,
visit your app store or go to southeasthealth.org.
When it comes to surgery, precision is perfection. The very latest technology available ensures the best possible outcome. The Mako Robotic Arm-Assisted Surgery System is now available at Troy Regional Medical Center. Skilled orthopedic surgeon Dr. Robert L. Liljeberg and his team provide patients with faster recovery and better movement after a knee replacement surgery. When accuracy matters, you deserve the very best. Troy Regional Medical Center.
Oh, we're back. I was just telling Forrest Lee, who's gone on a coffee run, that my son Jack has 2 more days of swimming lessons at Jody Thomas's swimming pool in Goshen. So appreciate Jody for giving these personalized swimming lessons to a bunch of children. She's got a good little summer business there.
I learned to swim in Luverne, Alabama at their, I guess it was a community swimming pool near the Chicken Shack. When you take a left going to Glenwood, it was right there on the right. I think somebody threw me in and I learned how to swim. I think
I
it was
learned
my brother.
It's important. If you don't know how much parents stress out over, you don't want your kids to fall in the swimming pool and drown. So, nothing else, they need to be able to tread water and even swim underwater.
I was just curious.
Yeah, we got our swim lessons about, I guess, a month ago, and man, it costs a lot of money.
Yeah.
Not at Jody Thomas's, $50 for a 10-day boot camp. Not bad.
No. I was going to mention
we had to spend $400 for both girls.
Wow.
Well, $400 for each. I mean, together $400, but it only lasted 6 weeks.
Maggie did.
You only went 30. Monday for 6 weeks.
Yeah. Maggie did it at the YMCA in Montgomery, which is the famous YMCA, and then we got her a refresher camp course at Troy Rec Center has swim lessons.
They got a swim team, the Sharks. They've had their first meet, and I know they're excited to be in the water and out in the open. But
I don't play around. I don't play around with that, man. I put them in the life jacket when they're out in the Gulf, and I just can't handle it.
Yeah. I looked up Oklahoma's roster in softball.
Mm-hmm.
They've got 8 players from Oklahoma, 2 from Arizona,
mm-hmm.
1 from Florida. They have 7 from California. They have 3 from Texas, 1 from Georgia, and 1 from Hawaii.
Interesting.
So
California and
They
Oklahoma.
look like they lift some weights too. They're a big, strong, physical looking team
They
compared to
are.
everybody else.
they are. And let's see what else I have.
Well, they are a powerhouse in women's softball, and they have remained remained a power in college football, which I liked our conversation yesterday about teams leaving conferences or whether they go into a new conference was smart or not, and we pointed out that Oklahoma has continued to do well. Their brand is as good as ever. But Nebraska, which was definitely on par or ahead of Oklahoma for decades, has kind of fallen off the map in college football.
Right. What about Missouri? Do you think Missouri? Who did we add? We added Missouri.
And
you think that was a good
Texas
move?
A&M was probably a good fit. Texas A&M has actually helped other teams because what they say it has increased the footprint is the term they use of the SEC in the state of Texas. And then that lets all these high school athletes start following the SEC. And what do they say? We want to play in the SEC too. So thus Alabama gets somebody like Jalen Waddle from Texas that they probably wouldn't have gotten in the past.
Well,
they've been good guys from Texas forever. Ashawn Robinson was from Texas, the big defensive lineman.
Yeah.
Well, we open up with Miami, then Florida will be the next big game, and then Texas A&M. That's the one Jimbo has on his radar.
Mm-hmm.
And if I remember, A&M's, of course, they got to play in the SEC West, but I think their path is a little bit easier. If you can just get over Bama, then you can.
I'm reading Mike's football magazine, Athlons, that I stole from him, and Alabama has 3 games in its first 7 weeks against Miami, who's going to be a preseason top 15 team. They return a lot of people and a very talented roster. Texas A&M, you just talked about, and then Florida and the Swamp. So those are 3 tough games for Bama right at the before the halfway point of the football season.
Another thing just off the wall, I read where National Geographic magazine will now recognize a 5th ocean. It's called the Southern Ocean in Antarctica because of its variety of its natural occurrences, but they're going to list it.
So it's largely part of the Arctic Ocean now.
And so that's going.
Are we gonna bring Pluto back? That's always been upsetting to me.
Pluto.
Yeah, me too. I mean, we don't talk about that. They took away they say a planet that we always grew up thinking was a planet is not a planet. Is that what they say?
I mean, do y'all ever watch some of this Mars footage? I mean, I'm not a real scientific but I mean, to watch that footage is pretty amazing.
Tell me more about it. Didn't China land this on Mars?
Well, I mean, the United States landed like the little rover thing, and then they have like a drone that comes out of the actual rover that flies over. I mean, it's pretty incredible to see. I mean, I don't know if I'll see it in my lifetime, but I mean, I feel like definitely in our kids' lifetime, you'll have trips to Mars.
Well, going back when you said the word drones, I just saw on Facebook where there's a local high school student at Charles Henderson. He has a summer job with the city of Troy with the drone program because the city of Troy and other entities, they can fly a drone up to the top of a pole where the electricity is located to see if things are going well.
Oh.
And then they can fly it wherever. And real estate agents who has a big land mass to try to sell, they could put that drone and have that little, TV where the potential owner, and he could fly that drone all over
showing the whole land.
Oh, here's your deer herd. Here's your
the applications for drones are just numerous. I mean, and we keep thinking of new ones. Now there's some bad ones.
Plus the hazards.
Yeah, I mean,
the terrorist hazards.
We America usually
privacy.
No telling how many people have died from a missile strike fired by a drone. So I don't know about that, but there are a lot of humanitarian and scientific uses for drones, for sure.
The drones is, there's another UFO drone.
Well, they're going to deliver pizzas. I think they already are delivering stuff, and Amazon's delivering stuff with drones. It's amazing.
No, I think it's a breach of privacy.
Yeah, we've had an issue. We've had an issue down here. There's a couple of bald eagles that fly from Great State Park over Grayton, and apparently there's some local guy with a drone that tries to follow the eagles down here, and they've had to basically reprimand, how dangerous that is, for the eagle, trying to get footage.
Yeah.
So they were talking about that the other day, and then down here. Also, you got all these tourists that come down, and they don't realize all these huge sea turtles come ashore at night on the beaches and lay eggs. And a lot of these people down here build these sand castles with these huge holes and all kinds of stuff, and the turtles get caught in them. And some of them die because they can't get out. So there's all kinds of issues like that, down here that people have all kinds of people involved, volunteering to come out and check the beaches, for turtles and stuff at night.
Talking about the military applications, terrorists could use drones, but think about that. Don't you think the aircraft carrier is pretty soon going to be obsolete? It's just such a huge target, and I mean, couldn't you have drone-powered airplanes with missiles and explosives on them, thousands of them, and just fly them right towards one aircraft carrier, and there's no way the aircraft carrier could shoot them all down?
Did y'all see where Alabama offered a football scholarship to the son of a former UFC star that's the mixed martial artist?
I did see that.
Victor Belfort. He's only in the 8th grade.
Yeah, it's like Dylan Moses. I think Dylan Moses got.
He's at Cardinal Newman High School in West Palm Beach. The 8th grader really impressed Bill O'Brien and Coach Saban with his ability to throw the ball. That's amazing that this kid's getting offered that young.
Well, I think Dylan Moses got one too, and we laughed about that, and that was amazing when we heard about it. LSU and Alabama offered him a scholarship in 8th grade, and then darn it, 4 or 5 years later, he's not at Alabama playing. So I guess it paid off.
This guy was a light heavyweight champion. He's from Brazil, so very interesting story there today.
Well, there's a pro football team that just signed a collegiate wrestler or something.
Yeah, the Tennessee Titans signed a wrestler from Michigan.
Never played football?
Never played football.
No. But that happens a lot, of course. There's tons of guys that are, taller forwards on a lot of college teams, 6'7", 6'8", that are just so athletic and so big that a lot of NFL teams take chances on. That's how Antonio Gates became such a great Hall of Fame tight end. He played at Kent State in college, beat Alabama actually in the NCAA tournament, and he ended up never playing actually down in college of football, but then goes to the pros and becomes All-Pro and a Hall of Famer.
He never played one down in college football. I thought he played 1 year. He didn't even play 1 year.
From what I read, I didn't think he played any, but that's happened several times.
Yeah.
The guys just didn't play at all.
Antonio Gates. Yeah. I've told you that there was a Corey King, the really good Charles Simpson basketball player. Yeah. I contacted Ronnie Cottrell and said, you got potentially a number one defensive end or tight end. But here's the catch: the guy's never played one down of football. He's a power forward on the basketball team, and so what might have been. Maybe I'm wrong, but I mean, I just have no doubt that he would have been a NFL football player. But he never played football.
Yeah, Charles Henderson never had two big guys like that on the same team that I ever knew. They had Malcolm Battle, 6'8", 6'9", and Corey King, who was about 6'6".
Yeah, Gates.
There's the reason they made it to the Final Four that year.
Yeah. Gates played basketball, but not football in college. He originally enrolled at Michigan State, wanted to play football under then-coach Nick Saban, as well as basketball under Tom Izzo. But he learned that Saban wanted him to play only football. He ended up transferring.
Saban has changed on that. Saban's got three guys in this current recruiting class that he is going to let them try to play basketball. And one of them is the cornerback that I wouldn't be surprised if he starts as a freshman. This Kool-Aid or
McKinney.
Kool-Aid McKinney.
Yeah. He's getting a good buzz. And I think one of them practiced with the basketball team last year. Didn't play in games, but practiced with them.
Yeah. Sam Williams. Remember that name. He's 24 years old. He's the son of Hank Jr., the grandson of Hank Sr. But he's going to release his debut album this summer, Glass House Children. He's signed a deal with Universal Music Group out of Nashville, and they say he's the next big thing in Nashville.
Whoa.
Well, maybe Hank's watching us this morning. He's got a home outside of Troy.
It's in the family. Man, I'm a huge fan of all the Williams.
There's a story that Hank Sr. was locked up in Goshen one time after playing a gig down there, and he was locked up in the jail.
I've heard that, yeah.
The jail used to be located behind the major buildings, but now, if you're in downtown Goshen, it's on the right as you're going through downtown Goshen. But that's...
Is that where he wrote the song, I'm in the jailhouse now?
I don't think so, but I heard a rumor that he wrote a song about the one-eyed sheriff of Goshen, who was a Linton. Last name Linton, but he wrote but I've never seen the lyrics to that song, but
are you back with us?
I hear that from somebody.
Yeah, back with you, and I've enjoyed listening to you.
I tell you what, man, you scare us when you get off the air, man. I didn't know what had happened to you.
Just cooking some eggs.
Well, we're talking.
Did
you run down the Thomas's Donuts real quick?
I could have. It could have been listening to y'all all along. That thing. It worked out real well.
Talking about Hank Jr. Thanks to KT Cole, I got to go listen to him cut a couple of the songs that he did on his Almeria Club album that was recorded at this old schoolhouse.
Steele's Crossroads, wasn't it?
It was Almeria, and the reason that's not far from where Hank Jr. owns land now, but they cut an album in this old country building. It's a fantastic album, and the story is that why Hank Jr. wanted to do it is he had heard that his daddy had played there, a gig there, and while there, that all heck broke loose when some irate husband came in thinking that his wife was sneaking around on him with some other guy, and the shots were fired, and so the concert never even finished, and Hank had to scramble out the window to get out of there. I don't think Hank was the one that he was after. But that's another wild Hank Williams Sr. story.
He pulled in the driveway when He pulled in our driveway when I was a little kid in a big old Mercedes, and had his cowboy hat and sunglasses on, and knocked on the front door, and I went to the door, and I was like, "There's Mr. Monday Night Football, Hank Williams Jr. at my house." And Dad got in the car, I guess, and went and showed him a lot.
Yeah.
He ended up living in Troy for almost a year.
Yeah.
He lived on Crow Hill for a while.
Yeah. He and Kid Rock.
He was not very hard to recognize, though. real huge black sunglasses, and he stayed around. He stayed around our house and up and down the street for over an hour that day.
Let me tell you a story about Hank Jr. When I was at the elementary school, this little boy named Gray Davis. He came into school late. I said, Gray, where you been? He said, Hank wanted to take me to breakfast. He said, we went to the Pig. I said, Hank? Because I knew he knew Hank Jr. He said, yeah, he wanted to take me to breakfast for my birthday. And he had carried his older brother Tyler to Florida to turkey hunt. Well, so Gray, he wanted to take him to breakfast. I said, well, what happened? He said, well, he bought my breakfast. He wanted to give me a $20 bill, and I told him I didn't need it.
Yeah. You know, one of his best friends is a friend of mine, and you know, he's a young man that has worked with Hank.
William, you're talking about William Johnson, yeah.
Yeah, William Johnson. Yeah, William Johnson. He and Hank are very good friends, and you know, Hank's just a regular guy. I tell you, he everybody likes him, and you know, you know, he's just you know, very. It's not he's very ordinary when you're around him, you know.
Yeah, the video Redneck Paradise was filmed in Troy, and between here and Steele's Crossroads. It was Hank Jr. and Kid Rock, and there's a lot of local people in that video.
That was filmed at the Double Branch, where that was filmed. That's on the video.
Yeah, and it's got different spots between the Double Branch and all the way to Steele's Crossroads. And some of those kids I mentioned are in that video. Tyler and his little brother Gray and some others around here.
Both Cephas, he couldn't have been nicer. When I went to hear him cut that album, and his manager is famous too. Kilgore, he wrote a famous country western song. But he said that Merle Kilgore, and
Virgil Kane is my name, and I wrote on the
letter. He said Hank usually doesn't talk to reporters while he's working. I said, well, that's fine. I'm enjoying listening to the music and these great studio musicians. But sure, they stopped, and then they ate. Sisters, look at Sisters' ad. Sisters catered a lunch for these musicians cutting this album. And when they took a break, and then he just wandered over, and we talked for 20 minutes. And then what was amazing about it is I talked, and I got a great story for the Troy Citizen out of it. And about 2 weeks later, I'm at the intersection at George Wallace and Highway 231. And I look over to my left, and there's a big old pickup truck, and it's Bo Cephas, and he's waving at me. He remembered me.
Isn't that amazing? Yeah. He's a regular guy, just a regular guy.
Yeah, it says Hank Williams Jr.'s net worth is $45 million.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty nice, yeah.
You know, he is the authentic country, and he's gotten the raw deal, in my opinion, because now the country music is different than it was 30 years ago. It's all sounds the same to me. And so the DJs do not play the type of country music that Hank Williams does, but it's outstanding. So I think there are a ton of albums he's done later in his life. The Almeria Club recorded right here, being one of them.
That's right.
That got kind of overlooked. They have great songs, but because the dang country stations don't play them.
The Country Music Awards were on last night, and it was left and right. You couldn't figure out who was country and who was rock and roll or pop or whatever. I mean, it was just a mixture of people. I'm wanting to watch Country Music Awards, and
most of these
every
songs
genre was so represented.
The country music artists don't write the songs. They have they have other people that write them the songs. But Hank Jr. writes his own songs too.
What are you trying to say, Doug?
Well, I know that he was famous for one song. Was "Tell Me, Hank, why do you drink? Why
to get drunk?
Do you blow smoke?"
I'm not gonna say it.
You ever heard that one?
Oh, I think so. You can go to any bar in America and break into that one, and everybody's going to sing along.
All my riding friends are coming over tonight. It's good too.
Oh yeah, you know, the people they can't help but like Hank Williams. He's a great guy.
You know, I was getting back to my theme about how country music has this formula, and you know, if you don't have it, you don't get played. While I was at that recording session at the Almeria Club, there was a reporter for Country Music TV or the Nashville Network or something that was there doing a profile on Hank too, and I said, well, man, I've never heard an album being cut, but I said, these songs sound really, really good to me. I said, what about you? He said, yeah, they're very, very good, but he said they're not going to get played on, it's not the type of music that's going to get played on country music radio, and he was right.
He's 72, was born in Shreveport, Louisiana.
Hank Jr. is 72 years old.
72 years old.
Golly.
I was trying to see, how old was he when he had that accident when he fell off the cliff? I'm trying to find that.
In his mid-20s.
Yeah, how in the world do you just survive falling down a mountain?
Yeah. Was he snow skiing or what? What was he doing when that happened?
I'm not sure. I just know he had a terrible accident.
Hit his head on a boulder, I remember.
Yeah. But,
you know, he was good friends with the Alabama football player Derek Thomas, of all things. I mean, real close friends.
Yeah, they were close. Yeah, Derek Thomas was in one of his music videos, I remember.
So how do you get Bo Cephas, who was a good old country boy that lives in Pike County, and Derek Thomas from Miami ended up being good buddies? There you go.
Yeah.
He was, in 1975, he was climbing Ajax Peak in Beaverhead County, Montana on August the 8th. The snow beneath him collapsed and he fell 440 feet, fracturing his skull in multiple places.
Now, you think
that's
400
insane.
feet, that's more than the length of, way more than the length of a football stadium.
Yeah.
That he fell, evidently landed in some soft snow that pushed him. I don't know what it was.
I mean, you just think you're on the 6th floor of a condo right now in Panama City Beach. I mean, that's way farther than that.
It must not have been a free fall. He must have slid down the mountain, because there's no way.
The two people he saw when he woke up from that coma or whatever, when he first woke up in the hospital, was June and Johnny Cash.
Really?
Oh, really?
That's what it says.
That's something. That's good. That's good print. Yeah.
Well, Johnny Cash is the man who's been everywhere, but he hadn't been as many places as Mike Amos has been.
Well, I'm sure that Hank and Johnny Cash were good friends. You know, Hank, they had to completely redo his face. You know, his whole face changed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, from the operation, and that was what, 25 years ago.
No,
he was 26 years old.
45 years ago.
Yeah, he was 26 when that happened. 26. He and a friend went hiking.
See, he was a guy that climbed mountains, so he was into everything, wasn't he?
Says the rescue took 6 hours and 6 men to carry him up the mountain.
I will tell you a little bit. You know, one of his very good friends was probably weighed 500 pounds, and you know he's no longer with us. But he was just, you know who we're talking about?
Oh, that lived in Heritage Ridge that had all his did his merchandising and
right.
T-shirt concessions.
Yeah, lived in Heritage Ridge. He and Hank were very close, and you know he took care of.
I never knew him, but he was.
He took care of of sales, and different items for that Hank had for sale,
I've always heard that these music groups and musicians, they make as much money from their T-shirt sales at concerts as they do from tickets at the concert, or more.
And the tape sales too, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to see it. If Hank can hear it, I would love to see the day that he might do a concert in the stadium. You know, it would be a perfect place for doing it. When you think, Mike?
We've talked about that. That's a great idea.
Yeah, I saw her super group Alabama. Of course, that's Randy Owen and Teddy Gentry and all them. They're playing their 50th anniversary tour, and they're going to play Oak Mountain in Birmingham Amphitheater on August the 7th. So if anybody wants to go see Alabama, that would be probably one of the last few times you can see them.
Did you see that they had a concert at Panama City Beach a week or so ago?
Yeah, I told you about that. The Santos came on stage.
Yeah, 22,000 people went. Leonard Skinner was one of the bands, and just hugely successful. I say outdoor concerts. There's no safety risk whatsoever. I mean, you may argue with an indoor concert, but outdoors is perfectly fine.
Yeah.
So.
Going back to country music, a friend of mine, Tom Wyndham, had a little cabin near a lake up there at Stills Crossroad, a little fishing club, and he was about to sell it, but Jamie Johnson's daddy and him were talking one day at the lake, and up walked Jamie Johnson and this lady, and so they said, "Hello, how you doing?" So they walked back off, and he asked Jamie Johnson's daddy, he said, is that his wife? He said, "No, that's his friend that was with him." And he said, "What's her name?" He said, "Allison Krauss."
Yeah, that's funny.
27, 26, and 27 Grammys. I guess they were dating at the time, still may be, but
yeah, she's a great bluegrass singer too.
Unbelievable.
Michael and
Dad and I saw Jamie Johnson one night at the rodeo, Clay County Cowboys Association. His dad was in that band, the opening act, and Jamie closed it, and he was great.
Yeah. You know, our guy that does all this around Pike County, you know, he's with the rodeo in Montgomery for a long time. And
Earl. You on Earl? Earl that comes on the show?
Not Earl, but you know, he sings a lot of country music too, and
yeah, he's got like a steak seasoning sauce he sells.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and I'm trying to think of his name right.
I can't think of his name. Yeah,
but he is Jamie Johnson's uncle, and Jamie Johnson is good entertainment. I love listening.
You know, you're talking about steak sauces, and it kind of ties into Michael's love of Milo's. You know, they're now known for...
His name's Ed, Dad.
Milo's is known for their tea, but it started off as a restaurant in Birmingham. It's like the Dale sauce that everybody knows. It's probably second in steak sauce behind Worcestershire sauce. Well, it was Dale's chain of restaurants. It was a steak chain of about 25 restaurants that started in Birmingham, and they were always in little basements of buildings. And then there was one that was in a penthouse at the top floor of a Montgomery building where you had the terrible fire that
Dale's
killed about...
Yeah.
But that's the same Dale's people that have the steak sauce.
I got introduced.
Well, I'm gonna bow out, guys. I enjoyed it. Had a lot of fun. Y'all finish it today. Thank you.
All right, Mike.
Well, the Lady College World Series is this afternoon at 3. I guess they're not playing tonight because ESPN's got something else planned. But it'd be nice to have watched them at prime time around 7 or 8.
Well, they give them a break.
They had rain. They had a rain out one day, and that caused them to have to add an extra day. So I'm sure they had to work around the ESPN schedule.
You know, that stadium is really impressive where they play that venue. And,
about 12,000, 13,000 all Oklahoma fans.
Let me ask y'all this. Do y'all think that women's softball has surpassed women's basketball in popularity among...
I'd rather watch softball than I had women's basketball, unless it gets to the finals. I like watching it then. But
I don't know. That'd be a good thing to check the ratings and the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys. I'm about to head out as well, but y'all have a good day, and we'll see you guys tomorrow morning.
Okay. Adios. All right. Well, look, everybody's leaving. We got to go.
But stay tuned. The replay will be at 1:30 today, I believe, on Troy Cable Channel 2. I want to thank Steve Kemp and all the staff for here at the studio for helping us out in the production and all that.
Any opinions expressed are those of the people expressing them, not necessarily Troy Cablevision.
So what you got planned today?
I'm going to go do some freelance writing and some research and pay some bills.
I'm going to pick some snap beans and hopefully can about 8 jars. Have a great day. Thank you for joining us. See you tomorrow morning, bright and early, for Today in L.A. with Mike Amos and Michael Bill and Forrest.